The night before the wedding. The night before the wedding, my fiancée had her childhood friend deliver a pair of ill-fitting leather shoes to me. I looked down at my empty right pant leg and said calmly, "No need. Let's call off the wedding." Maxwell sounded displeased. "Evelyn picked these out especially for you. Aren't you worried she'll be upset?" Standing at the doorway, Evelyn looked irritated. "We even picked out shoes for you. What Moredo you want?" I looked silently at Maxwell's feet, a bitter smile tugging at my lips. "I don't want shoes that don't fit." Evelyn Ryer, of alcohol. She was clearly agitated when she heard my "Gabriel, how much longer are you going to keep this up? I already agreed to marry you. What else are you not satisfied with?" I raised my head and met Evelyn's ever-changing expression. To her, our 7-year relationship culminating in marriage was a happy ending. But to me, it felt like charity. Maxwell Tredo eased the tension though. The schadenfreude in his eyes was obvious. "Evelyn, can't you control that temper? Feuding's tomorrow. And you, Gabriel, be a man. Stop giving your fiancé such a hard time. Let me help you put on the shoes." As I sat on the sofa, I instinctively pulled back my right leg and declined coldly. "No need," but Maxwell ignored me. He lifted the empty pant leg on my right side. Finding surprise, he said, "Oh, right. I forgot Gabriel had his right leg amputated." Evelyn frowned and looked over. I didn't miss the flash of disgust in her eyes. Bitterness overwhelmed me, and it felt like someone was gripping my heart. She had once promised never to be repulsive by my leg. She had vowed that with the first money we earned, we'd buy me the best prosthetic so I could walk like everyone else and never endure those strange stares. But 7 years had passed. I never received that. All I got was her disgust and growing distance. She broke her promise in the end. Maxwell slapped his forehead, pretending to be forgetful. "Don't be mad, Gabriel. I'll help you with the other shoe." I tried to resist, but Maxwell gripped my left foot tightly. Even though the shoe clearly didn't fit, he forced my foot into it. The pressure was agonizing. My brows furrowed from the pain, nails digging into skin. I kept struggling until I ended up falling to the ground in Ames's. Maxwell fell backward too, his head hitting the floor with a dull thud. I looked at my hands. I hadn't even pushed him. The alcohol seemed to drain from Evelyn's face. She rushed over and held Maxwell, visibly worried. "Maxwell, are you okay? If he doesn't want to wear the shoes, then let him go barefoot." She shot me a venomous glare like I was some unforgivable villain. Then she stormed over and slapped me hard across the face. The crack echoed through the room. Pain flared in my cheek. The last sliver of affection in my heart shattered completely. Evelyn's chest heaved with rage. "Are you insane? I picked out those shoes especially for you. So you throw a tantrum and refuse to wear them, then knock Maxwell over. Don't you think that's too much?" Apologize to him. Despair clouded my vision. From thirst planning to this final night, this wedding had felt half-hearted and Evelyn left everything to wedding planners while she went on a trip with Maxwell, only returning tonight. Even the shoes were chosen with. He was the one who decided the size. Evelyn had never once asked me for my opinion. She didn't care whether I liked them or if they fit. Otherwise, I wouldn't have discovered they were the wrong size. Only now, I looked up, my eyes bleak. "Evelyn, Maxwell doesn't know me shoe size. But don't you? Or have you already forgotten that I lost my right leg and can't wear shoes on it?" Evelyn's expression froze for a split second, but she quickly turned impatient again. Her lips moved, but no words came out. I cackled bitterly. How ridiculous that I still had hope, still clung to wishful thinking. She didn't even bother lying to me anymore. A pair of ill-fitting shoes for her disabled fiancé. Will if the exact same pair fits another man perfectly? What a cruel joke. Pain gripped my chest, dull and constant, until all my feelings were scraped away. I looked Evelyn straight in the eyes and said calmly, "Evelyn, the wedding, ice off." Finally, she snapped. She smashed the glass cups on the table into pieces. Shards flew everywhere, but I didn't react at all. She pointed at me, shouting, "What right do you have to talk to me like that? Haven't I treated you well enough? So, the shoes don't fit. So, what? I'll get you a new pair." I looked at Maxwell's shoes. Same style as mine. A sudden thought occurred to me. I crouched down and found their siped in the shoebox. It showed a charge for just one pair of men's shoes, 23,000 yuan. The second identical pair was redeemed with reward points, between Maxwell's shoes and mine. It was all too clear who got the real gift and who got the freebie. I laughed bitterly. "Evelyn, even the shoes I'm supposed to wear for our wedding were just the freebie left over from Maxwell's." Evelyn froze. Her expression stiffened for a moment. I so badly wanted her to deny it. I wanted to hear her say, "It's not like that." But when I looked at her, she averted her gaze, clearly guilty. A gift redeemed with points is still a gift. Why are you being so picky? My mind buzzed blankly for a moment as if submerged in ice water. The chill reached deep into my bones. Without any more hesitation, I pulled out the suitcase I had packed and hidden behind the sofa. With the help of a crutch, I limped slowly toward Theodore. Evelyn stepped in front of me. "Gabriel, what do you mean by this? I've already told all our friends and relatives. You want to walk away just because of a pair of shoes? What a boot me reputation. How are my parents supposed to face the neighbors?" I couldn't help but let out a bit. If Evelyn's parents found out I was finally leaving their daughter, they'd probably laugh in their sleep. Totham, I was never the ideal son. After I became disabled, they nitpicked everything I did. Their words constantlist with mockery. Evelyn insisted on staying with me, so they reluctantly gave in. But now, our 7-year-long love had quietly changed into something else. It was time I let go. I shook my head, eyes firm. The wedding can still go on tomorrow. Evelyn's face twisted into a smirk as if to say, I knew it. She thought I was acting up again because of Maxwell. She was so sure I couldn't leave her. After all, who would accept a disabled man like me if not her? She was about to start scolding me again, demanding an apology, but I beat her to it, a mocking smile spreading on my. The wedding can go on, but with the new groom. These wedding shoes fit Maxwell perfectly. You two really are a match made in heaven. Maxwell's eyes gleamed with triumph, though he feigned distress. Gabriel, you're misunderstanding again. Evelyn and I are just friends. We've known each other since childhood. If something was going to happen, it would have happened long. That same old line, I'd heard it so many times. I was sick of it, even physically nauseated. Maxwell and Evelyn had grown up together, practically joined at the hip. They only went separate ways when they got into different universities. I met Evelyn during the freshman and it was love at first sight. She was performing a solo dance like a lonely white peacock in a forest. Every movement and expression shook me to the core. In one accidental glance, I felt me heart skip a beat. Back then, I didn't dare to pursue her. I only watched from afar. One day, Evelyn's roommate sabotaged her by pouring ice on the bathroom floor. She slipped and injured her leg, needing 3 months off rest. She lost her chance to perform in a major show in Beijing, and the blow sent her into a depressive spiral. Eek knew she loved visiting bookstores, so I started dressing up in a mascot costume on that street, doing silly dances, giving out roses and candy just to make her smile. She tried to remove my costume helmet more than once, but I didn't have the courage to let her see me. Later, when she returned to dancing, she kept falling, haunted by the trauma of her injury. More and more people doubted her abilities. Even the instructors began casting strange looks your way. She cried countless times in the dance studio mirror, and I sat silently outside the door, her only odd. At first, she avoided me, but eventually she noticed how attentively I watched her movements. She slowly let go, allowing herself to be immersed in the rhythm of music again. We had never spoken, but our souls had countless conversations. When she finally stood on stage again and received a standing ovation, I wore my mascot suit and walked out with a bouquet of flowers. Finally, brave enough to confess. That was probably the bravest moment of my life. Thankfully, my efforts were rewarded. But after we started our own studio, Maxwell returned. Evelyn said it was for work and asked if I was okay with him joining. I didn't see him as On the contrary, I trusted Evelyn more for being open about it. But as our studio grew, Evelyn and I grew further apart. Maxwell, however, became more and more present in every part of our lives. Our relationship, which should have been between two people, always had a third wedged in between. Whenever I brought up wanting time alone with her, Evelyn would explode like a cat with its tail stepped on. Gabriel, don't you trust me? Maxwell is just a friend. I see him like a brother. He's only tagging along because he's worried about my safety. Why are you so petty? Time and again, her harsh words and unwavering defense of Maxwell made me question myself and feel utterly suffocated. It was like I was a dying fish, gasping for breath, trapped and helpless. The psychological toll left scars I couldn't erase. Even now, on the eve of our wedding, Maxwell was still hovering like a shadow. Evelyn refused to let go, so I finally said, then have Maxwell leave. We need to talk alone. Maxwell touched his nose and looked, all right, I'll leave you two to it. But Evelyn grabbed his hand and looked at me full of irritation. What, can't Maxwell hear? There are no secrets between us. I lowered my eyes and let out a bitter smile, my chest aching. Just when I thought my heart had gone numb, her words stirred the stagnant despair, pain, and sorrow churned in my chest until I felt like I might collapse. My fiancé and I were like strangers, guarded, distant, but with another man, she shared total trust. Calling them childhood friends was generous. They were more like soulmates, inseparable partners. I took a deep breath. Then we have nothing more to say. Please move. Evelyn snapped, her voice laced with venom. Gabriel, you're an Ethan, but leave me, and you'll be begging on the streets. I stopped at the door. Her words stabbed into me like a blade, sharp and cruel. I fought to breathe, struggling to keep my trembling body steady. Then slowly, it turned around. Voice. Evelyn, you keep calling me a _, but do you even remember why I became one? Her face instantly changed, lips pressed tightly together. She eventually told Maxwell to leave. He looked stunned, unwilling, but still walked out, reluctant and dissatisfied. Evelyn softened her tone and stepped forward, trying to take my hand. I flinched away in disgust. Her hand froze mid-air, forcing down her irritation. She said, I remember everything you've done for me, but there's no point in repeating the past. Stop being dramatic. I agreed to marry you. I'm keeping that promise. My husband will only be you. I looked at Thar dazed. Once I had a bright future ahead. I could have traveled the world, scaled mountains and cliffs, explored caves and ravines, and made meaningful contributions as a geologist. But 6 years ago, Evelyn, then the belle of the arts department, was harassed by some thugs in an alley. She fought back desperately, nearly disfigured. I didn't hesitate. I jumped in to protect her. Her so-called childhood brother, Maxwell, he was the first to run. In the fight, my right leg was brutally broken. I didn't even feel the pain at first. All I could think about was shielding the trembling Evelyn beneath me. By thigh time, I regained consciousness. I was in a hospital bed. Evelyn clutched my hands tightly, her tears falling. She cried as she promised me, "From now on, I'll be your right leg. I'll stay by your side forever. I will never betray you. I'll buy you the best prosthetic so you can live like a normal person. I'll even find the perfect pair of shoes for Thede." We walked down the aisle together. Our wedding will be the most unique in the world. I closed my eyes. So few ever kept. She made vows to Isaly, forgetting their acquired love to fulfill. Even the wedding I'd waited 7 years for had become a commercial showcase. After graduation, Evelyn wanted to start a dance studio to train dancers and ride the wave of internet fame, but she lacked the funding. So, I gave her all my savings and borrowed more from my family. She hugged me with tears of joy, promising to pay it back. I never pressed her on it. Years passed, she never brought it up again. Meanwhile, I stayed home writing novels and slowly paid off all the family debt. Though I'd been the sole investor, the studio's co-founder wasn't me. It was Maxwell. Without asking me, Evelyn gave him half of everything. She even named it Evelyn Maxwell Studio. I was a joke. I had Javan everything. Money, time, even my leg. Only to end up with a wife who isn't really mine, and a studio bearing another man's name. Whenever I brought this up, Evelyn exploded like a lip. "It's just a name. Why make a big deal out of it? Maxwell can help me. Hey, Haas connections. Talent? You just stay home all day. What right do you have to criticize my work?" I stayed silent for a long time. In that moment, I truly felt unnecessary. I even considered ending argument after argument. I became more withdrawn, closed off. Evelyn didn't care. To her, my silence was just a relief from the noise. Other than her occasional visits home, I was always alone, sitting in the shadows, staring out the window at the sunlight. I never had the courage to leave the house, never dared to rejoin the world. I'd completely disconnected from society. Even our wedding had turned into her business project. Evelyn scheduled all the notable dancers from her studio to online. She marketed the wedding as a romantic spectacle, but in truth, it was just an election. She never discussed any of it with me. This wedding was her celebration alone. An empty pant leg, ill-fitting shoes, the pain on my face, still fresh. A wedding I had no place. Everything reminded me maybe I should never have continued this relationship 6 years ago. After a long silence, I looked at Evelyn deeply, then gave a cold, mocking smile. "Evelyn Yachno, what? If I could go back 6 years, I wouldn't lift a finger because you were never worth it." Evelyn's face turned red with rage. With great effort, I stepped forward, leaving behind the prison that had held me captive. I walked into the rain alone as Evelyn screamed behind me, hysterical, "The wedding will go on without you. Gabriel, if you leave now, don't ever come back." I didn't respond. I powered off my phone and spent the night at a hotel. The next day, I planned to consult the hospital about getting a prosthetic. Clutching my financially, I braced myself for an outrageous price. But when the doctor gave me the estimate, I was completely in other words, less than 40,000, I repeated in disbelief. The doctor nodded. "Yes, and this is already one of the better options." I couldn't hold back a laugh. But as I laughed, tears began to fall. All these years, he thought prosthetics were outrageously expensive. I didn't dare buy one. I didn't want to burden Evelyn. So, I kept sacrificing, choosing hardship for myself so she wouldn't have to. But now, to think that prosthetic I had waited 6 years for only cost 40,000. But the absurdity and cruelty of it all overwhelmed me. I cried, broken and bitter. Evelyn had long been capable of affording it, but she chose to let me live in the shadows. She could buy Maxwell a watch worth over 100,000, but couldn't spare 40,000 to give me a new life. In her eyes, it simply wasn't worth it. Just then, my phone vibrated. It was a call from Evelyn. I didn't answer, but a trending video popped up automatically, and with trembling hands, I tapped it open. In the video, Evelyn and Maxwell walked down the aisle, hand in hand. They exchanged rings and vows. Each glance between them was filled with a love as sweet as ripe berries. Confetti burst in the air. Petals rained down on their heads. Surrounded by blessings, they kissed. The comments overflowed with praise for the perfect couple. They've known each other since they were kids. Such a beautiful story. They even started a studio together, Evelyn Maxwell. So romantic. Every word burned into my eyes, stinging. My throat tightened, even though I pretended I didn't care. Pain surged through me. Sharp, countless, unbearable. Just then, a message from Evelyn popped up. "The wedding went on just fine without you. Had your fun running away? Come back now, or your wedding night will be spent with Maxwell instead." My heart sank deeper. Then came a voice message from Maxwell. mocking and smug. Gabriel, do yourself a favor and stay gone. Don't embarrass yourself. Your in-laws don't want a crippled son-in-law disgracing them either. I gave a bitter laugh. Of course, I knew. Evelyn's parents had always preferred Maxwell. To them, he was dependable, kind, familiar. I, on the other hand, disabled, quiet, dull, was an embarrassment. They cared deeply about appearances, and my existence was a blemish in their perfect social image. Evelyn called again, this time urgently. I picked up. Swallowing my grief, I spoke in a hoarse voice. Her impatient voice rang out, laced with warning. Gabriel, this is your last chance. If you don't come back tonight, you'll be replaced permanently. I don't have to marry you, but if you come back, apologize to my parents and admit you were wrong. I'll still go through with the wedding. My voice was calm. No need, I'm not coming back. Congratulations to you and Maxwell. May all your wishes come true. I'm stepping aside. You two can have it all. There was a brief silence on the other end, followed by rapid, shallow breathing, as if she were trying to hold back an eruption of rage. Finally, Evelyn lost control. She dropped the mask. Gabriel, who do you think you are? You think you're still that golden boy from back then. You were just born with a good hand. Now, look at you. Crippled, useless, arrogant, you're a nothing without me. You rely on me for everything. What are you even proud of? Fine, you want that prosthetic leg, right? Come back, say sorry, and I'll pay for it. But no matter how harsh her words became, I felt nothing. My heart had become a barren wasteland. Not even weeds grew there anymore. I hadn't spoken for a while, so the doctor gently reminded me. Gabriel, have you decided? I nodded, a peaceful smile on my face. Then I spoke slowly. Evelyn, I don't need you to buy it for me. I'll pay for it myself. All the neglect and coldness you showed me, I'll make up for it myself. One step at a time. No one waits forever, Evelyn. This time, I mean it. We're done. Let's not disturb each other's lives anymore. Her voice sharpened. What's that supposed to mean? Are you insane? Where do you think you'll get that kind of money? Stop bluffing. Fine, break up. But you tell me parents yourself. You owe them an explanation. I had thought long and hard. This relationship had started with him, and it should end with me. Fine, I said coldly. Then, ignoring her endless scolding, I hung up. Turning to the doctor, a new light flickered in my dull eyes. What's the soonest this can be done? He did a quick calculation. At least a week. And after that, I have to do rehab to get used to walking again. I nodded and paid without hesitation. When the prosthetic was finally fitted, it felt like I'd been reborn. For 7 years, I hadn't felt this kind of joy. My leg was back. I was like a child taking my first steps again, wobbling, supporting myself on the wall, slowly standing up straight. With every step I took, joy swelled in my heart. I would keep walking forward. I would reclaim every step I had missed in the past. After days of continuous training, I could finally walk awkwardly, slowly, but like a normal person. I called my former mentor. He had always hoped I would follow him into but ever since my injury, I had been traumatized, withdrawn, and afraid to interact with others. I didn't even have the courage to stand up, spending my days lying on the couch or in bed, imagining that my legs were still intact. Now, I finally mustered courage to call. When my mentor heard my voice, he was thrilled. You've really decided. It's going to be tough. Weren't you just married? Will your wife be okay with you traveling all over the country, constantly out in the field? I gave a bitter laugh. The wedding was canceled. I wasn't the groom. Those few short words carried a weight of endless sorrow. After a moment of silence, he responded immediately. All right, we are setting out in 10 days. With you on board, our team will be stronger than ever. No matter what you've been through, you're still the most outstanding student I've ever taught. I've always been waiting for the day you'd stand again. And now you finally have. I hadn't expected that someone out there had been quietly caring about me all this time. In the past, my whole world revolved around Evelyn. I had bet the rest of my life on her not letting me down, and I lost completely. After confirming the trip, I sent Evelyn a message. I'll meet your parents this afternoon and explain everything to them in person. She didn't reply, but I knew she saw it. When I stepped into the old family home, the cheerful laughter that filled the house instantly fell silent. Countless eyes turned toward me as Esther turned my back and walked into the living room, one step at a time. Maxwell and Evelyn were sitting together, arms linked intimately. Even when they saw me, they made no move to separate. I was like an outsider who didn't belong. Several unfamiliar faces looked me over. They seemed to be a media or Seeing that no one was speaking, one of them turned to Evelyn and asked, Evelyn, you have a guest today. Evelyn pursed her lips, her eyes warning me sharply. She didn't want them to know anything about me and certainly didn't want to admit that her husband was a disabled man. Maxwell quickly jumped in to defuse the situation. He pulled me aside and whispered, don't say anything. These people are top-notch. They've filmed for a bunch of big influencers. Evelyn wants to boost the studio's popularity and turn a few of the dancers into internet celebrities. We're negotiating a deal. If they find out her husband is how do you think they'll see her? The whole deal might fall apart. Evelyn's parents were also looking at me with obvious displeasure, their faces full of distaste. Maxwell shoved a broom into my hand, grinning. This is the cleaner, here to tidy up. I stood motionless, numb. One of the men barked at me. Hey, sweep up these sunflower seed shells. Don't just stand there. Evelyn, where'd you find this cleaner? He's terrible. Still expects us to treat him nicely. Evelyn's expression soured, but she made no move to defend me. Maxwell gave me an up. I fell hard against the edge of a table. My pants tore, revealing my prosthetic leg. The team's expression changed immediately. Oh, he's disabled. Still doing cleaning work like this? That's rough. Here, take some cash. Just finish cleaning up and be on your way. One of them stuffed 200 yuan into my pocket. Maxwell chuckled, unable to hold it in. They really thought you were a beggar. Evelyn stared at me coldly. I slowly got to my feet, pulled out the money, and handed it back calmly. Then, I stood up with effort. To be accurate, I was the original groom of this wedding. I came here today just to formally end things with Evelyn. I turned, tossed the broom back at Maxwell, and sneered. You're more suited to holding that broom anyway, since you love picking up my leftovers. Evelyn trembled with rage, shouting, Gabriel, have you lost your mind? The team exchanged awkward glances, quickly found an excuse, and left. After they were gone, Evelyn's father lost his temper. He hurled a teacup at me. It shattered, and warm blood began to drip from my head. Still furious, he slammed the table and yelled, My daughter must have been cursed to end up with you. Since being with you, her life has on ligoten harder. That prosthetic leg of yours, don't tell me Evelyn didn't pay for it. And now you ruin her business deal on purpose. Are you even human? You live off her, and still act arrogant. If you hadn't lost your leg for her, I would never have agreed to let you marry her. If Maxwell had been there back then, he would have gotten her out safely. Not like you, useless Maxwell. Looked embarrassed, his expression stiff. I looked calmly at Evelyn's father, then laughed coldly. I think there's a misunderstanding. First of all, I came today just to end things with Evelyn and give you both closure. Second, I paid for my prosthetic with my own savings. I'm not living off anyone. The money for Evelyn's studio was from me, and I've yet to be paid back. Endlessly, who said Maxwell wasn't there that day? Maxwell's face went pale with panic. Evelyn's father froze, murmuring in disbelief. What did you say? Maxwell was there too. Evelyn walked up to me, her face full of irritation. What's the point of dragging Maxwell down with your lies? He already told me he wasn't there. He went to get milk tea for me. I didn't argue. I just said calmly. That incident made quite a stir. A lot of people posted videos from that day. If you don't believe me, go look it up. I'm sure you'll find Maxwell in the footage. Evelyn glanced at Maxwell, whose face had turned pale. She bit her lip hard. Deep down, she already knew the truth. Her parents exchanged a look and fell silent. The mood in the room grew heavy. They had always praised Maxwell for his deep devotion to Evelyn, for being willing to step aside for her happiness. He was supposed to be kind, brave, and responsible. But now those very words felt like slaps across their faces, and their expressions darkened with shame. Maxwell had boasted more than once. If it had been me, I would have made sure Evelyn was safe and gotten out unharmed. Not like someone else, who used his ability to morally blackmail Evelyn into marriage. Every time he made those snide backhanded remarks, I would lower me head further in shame, overwhelmed with humiliation and unease. And Evelyn, who was supposed to be my fiancée, the one I trusted most, my emotional anchor, always stood silently on Maxwell's side, watching coldly as they turned me into a joke. And even now, Evelyn still Chisido defend Maxwell. She turned to me, her gaze falling on the blood trickling down my face. There was a flicker of guilt in her eyes. Enough. What's past is past. Your wound is still bleeding. Let me help you take care of it. I pulled away from her touch. Can a casual word like enough really erase all the pain and trauma I went through? I took out a tissue and wiped the blood away, then looked around at everyone. I came here for one reason only. To make it clear that Evelyn and I are truly over. You no longer have to worry about me clinging to her. That's all I had to say. Excuse me. I turned and walked out of the old house without a hint of reluctance. Evelyn chased after me, ignoring everything else. She hugged me tightly from behind, her voice trembling with tears. Gabriel, how can you be so heartless? I just wanted to make you mad to force you to come back. Let's hold the wedding again. Okay, I remember, your shoe size is 42. I'll order the finest leather shoes right now. Let's start over, please. I pried her fingers off me one by one, then turned around, my face full of scorn. So, you do remember me shoe size, but you still let Maxwell pick out a pair that didn't fit on purpose, and gave them to me just to humiliate me. Evelyn, don't you think that's pathetic? In this relationship, you've always had the upper hand. You were the one who controlled everything. You don't have the right to ask the person you hurt to start over because they are not worthy. This time, Evelyn truly panicked. She clung to me, refusing to let go. But no one can hold back someone who's determined to leave. After I got in the car, Evelyn ran after me for a long time. In the rearview mirror, I saw her stumble repeatedly in her high heels. Eventually, she kicked off her shoes and ran barefoot after Decker, crying. Maxwell ran out trying to stop her, but Evelyn slapped him hard across the face. It was the first time Evelyn had ever struck Maxwell, but it was too late. That single slap felt like justice for the countless times Maxwell had humiliated me. It brought me a shred-off peace, a moment of self-forgiveness I hadn't known I needed. But a late apology means nothing to someone whose heart is already dead. I blocked Evelyn and the others, then returned to the apartment we once shared. The old neighborhood worn staircases and those creaky outdoor exercise machines. This place held our earliest memories. It was the cheapest rental in the entire village. Maybe Evelyn had forgotten how hard things used to be. The happiest time of our 7 years together was actually the most difficult. During the day, she practiced her dance routines while I lay on the couch writing stories. She always forgot to eat when she got busy. So, I learned how to cook, became a decent house husband. She was actually afraid of the dark, but she never told me because she didn't want me to worry. The road home was pitch black, the streetlight was broken. Every time she braved that darkness, the slightest rustling would terrify her. So, I always left a light on in the kitchen, its warm glow just enough to light the path outside. Whenever Evelyn reached the foot of our building, she'd look up at me in the window, and we'd share a quiet, tender. I won't deny that we once truly loved each other, but I also can't deny that love can rot over time. I unlocked the door with my old key. The place hadn't been lived in for a while. Last year and dust hit me as I stepped inside. Nothing had changed. Even after we moved out, we kept renting this place, telling ourselves we'd come back and visit, relive the old days, but we never did. I walked into the bedroom and pulled out a box from under the bed. Inside were several love letters, each one handwritten by my younger self to Evelyn. Reading them now, the words felt clumsy and naive, but also heartbreakingly sincere. As I read, tears streamed down my face. Finally, I placed the letters in a metal basin and lit them on fire. It was time to burn the last thread, tying me to her to let go completely. Suddenly, Evelyn appeared at the door, screaming in panic. "God, Gabriel, don't." Evelyn, undaunted, reached into the fire pit to retrieve letters, eventually kicking the whole thing over in desperation. But she was too late. All the love letters had already turned to ash. Crying, Evelyn cuped the ashes in her hands, her face filled with despair. "Why? What did I do so wrong? Can't you forgive me? Why are you so heartless? I'll cut Maxwell off completely. Doesn't that mean anything?" I didn't respond to Evelyn's heartbreaking sobs. Affection that comes too late is worth less than grass. My tears were for the foolish man I used to be. They had nothing to do with her. Evelyn frantically tried to gather Theseus, carefully searching for any remaining fragments. But then a sudden gust of wind blew the window open. Theseus scattered in the wind, flying out of sight, gone forever. Evelyn completely broke down. She collapsed to the ground, her eyes pleading. "Gabriel, I'm begging you. Please don't leave me. I know I was wrong. Can't we start over?" I shook my head, my voice cold. "No, it's not possible." After that day, Evelyn kept trying to win me back. But I was simply waiting for the time I'd agreed on with my mentor, and then I would leave for good. She stripped Maxwell of his partner status in the studio and kicked him out. Maxwell made a scene, and the once close duo became enemies. When Hello FT took most of the dancers with him, it turned out that without Evelyn's knowledge, Maxwell had already replaced her as the face of the studio. In the end, only a handful of people were willing to stay. Even so, the studio was soon forced to shut down, harassed nonstop by Maxwell's relentless revenge. Evelyn sorted everything out, gathered every cent of the money I had once invested in her, and transferred it back into my account without missing a single penny. She kept recommending expensive prosthetics to me, studied physical therapy techniques, and tried to make up for every promise she had failed to fulfill in the past. She even posted our old photos online, publicizing our relationship to everyone. She kept repeating, "This is my husband. His name is Gabriel. He treated me so well. It was me who failed him." Evelyn introduced me to the world, everything I used to dream of. Now I could have it with ease. But I felt nothing. Her love felt cheap. Everyone said Evelyn was sick, terminally ill with love for me. She waited downstairs every day through rain and wind, refusing to leave. Evelyn's parents changed completely. Once disdainful of me, they now spoke with humility. It was as if they had aged 10 years overnight, their backs hunched under the weight of regret. Evelyn's father pleaded with me. "Please forgive. You didn't really lose anything, did you? Maxwell is gone now. Can't you just move on together?" I didn't make things difficult for her parents. They were simply guilty of spoiling their daughter too much. I understood them, but understanding doesn't mean I forgive. I looked at Evelyn's father, Magazi, steady and calm. "Uncle, I was with Evelyn for 7 years. Back then, I truly loved her with all my heart. But now, after being let down so many times, I just want to live for myself. I don't want to be someone's shadow anymore, constantly on edge. I've really let go. I just hope we can part peacefully, give each other a final shred of dignity." After seeing her parents off, I looked down at the plane ticket in my hand, then out the window at Evelyn standing under the tree. She looked pitiful. It was cold in early autumn, and she wore only a thin sweater. Dew dripped from her hair. Her face was pale. In the end, I still went downstairs and let her in. Evelyn wiped her tears, her eyes red. Before I could say anything, she started tidying up. Look, there's dust everywhere. I'll clean it up. You sit on the sofa. Don't move. I'll cook something for you. What do you want to eat? I'll go buy the ingredients. Yao shouldn't be standing too long. Sit down, leave everything to me. I grabbed Evelyn's shoulders, my voice low. Evelyn, don't do this. I'm leaving tomorrow. I don't want to leave with any more regrets. Evelyn, I did love you. There's no denying that. But tell me, did you really love only me? Or, after he lost my right leg, every time we walked together, those judgmental stays, those whispers that I wasn't good enough for you. Every time Maxwell, healthy, successful, stood beside me. That contrast was painfully clear. I believe you hesitated many times, felt lost, and, in the end, you chose me. But it felt like a forced duty. We're over. Evelyn, you can still find someone better to spend your life with. Evelyn couldn't hold back her emotions any longer. Her body weakened and she collapsed to the floor, sobbing. There won't be anyone better. There never will be. In the end, I still left the city. At the last moment before boarding at the airport, I looked back. In the crowd stood a frail figure. Evelyn. She looked like she hadn't slept all night. Her eyes, bloodshot and hollow. I gave a peaceful smile and rested the ticket in my hand. Goodbye, Evelyn. Hot tears slid down the corners of Evelyn's eyes. Her lips moved slightly, but no words came out. It wasn't until Gabriel turned around and his familiar silhouette vanished from sight that Evelyn finally lost control. She tried to run after him, but was stopped by airport staff. Evelyn sobbed uncontrollably, the despair and pain in her heart suffocating her through the crowd surrounding her. Just before being pulled away, she looked toward Thuendo and saw the plane taking off. Her last ounce of strength was drained. She let out a bitter smile and whispered softly, "Goodbye, Gabriel." My mentor's team and I traveled to many places and took countless photos. I posted them all on Weibo, updating my followers. Issued knowledge about geology with the world. I stood atop a mountain as the sun slowly rose behind me. At that moment, I pressed the shutter and opened my arms, embracing the world. And all this time, there was always an anonymous user who liked every post. Every Weibo entry was viewed countless times each day. Eventually, I posted a final message. Thank you to those who loved me and to those I loved. You taught me how to grow. The road ahead, may we both be well. That post, she didn't hit the like button, but she viewed it quietly, silently. Later, I heard Evelyn began touring with Herdin's team, focusing on choreography with wholehearted dedication. She no longer chased clout on the internet, but immersed herself in her art, and just like that, the final lock on my heart quietly unlatched. Maybe this was the ending we were always meant to have. Only between the beginning and the end. We added 7 long, painful years.